Alright kids, are you ready to experience the Black Mesa incident for the 4th and 5th different perspective? Because that's exactly what we're going to be doing today once we dive into the 3rd expansion of Half-Life 1's expanded universe. Last time on the channel, we took a look at Captivation Digital Laboratories' port of Half-Life to the PlayStation 2, originally intended for the Sega Dreamcast. And while that port got cancelled and its exclusive campaign was ported to PC in 2002, Half-Life for the PlayStation 2 didn't suffer the same fate, meaning its exclusive campaign is now stuck to the PS2. And unlike its predecessors, Half-Life Decay was a completely cooperative multiplayer experience, requiring 2 players to play together, navigating through mission-based levels and solving puzzles together while fighting enemy NPCs. While the campaign received generally mixed reviews at the time, it was praised for something that I don't think we give it enough credit for, and that being a first-person cooperative experience where both players need to work together on the same puzzle rather than basically just playing through a single-player experience but with 2 players. Something that Valve would excel at with the later release of Portal 2's co-op campaign. And much like the Portal series, Half-Life Decay is helmed by our first women protagonists of the series, offering us another piece of the puzzle of how everyone managed to escape the Black Mesa incident. Until they didn't. But if you're gonna play this port today, chances are you're not gonna be using the original PS2 release, but instead the community-made mod that brings it to PC, even with fully functional online play. At least until it didn't. The Hoaxer port, as I'll be referring to it from time to time, was originally intended to be the only way that I would look at it for this video, but I discovered that when attempting to set up a dedicated server for myself and my cooperative partners to join, that gold source dedicated servers are kinda broken right now. Look, I'm not gonna pretend that I completely understand what I'm looking at, but I followed every guide I came across for trying to set up a Decay dedicated server for the mod, and the Steam command prompt ended up timing out every time I tried to run it. So after 40 minutes of fiddling with this thing, I decided to turn to an alternative. Yeah, we ended up using Spend Co-op for this one, and unless I wanted to use something like Hamachi, this was really my only option here. It's definitely not ideal if you wanted to play Decay 1-to-1 with your friends online, but it got the job done. Take your crowbar.
Oh. Well, that ain't fun. Oh. What do you go to the field position?
I timed it so poorly. I'm like, alright, I've got to press it, and I press it as soon as you stop. If you've ever played Half-Life 1 on Sven, you'll know that they've added some extra enemies and enemy spawns to the campaign to make the game a bit harder, compensating for multiple players. They've also balanced a bit by adjusting the weapon output. The shotgun in particular was especially meaty, able to one-shot a Vortigaunt from a decent distance away, even with the difficulty set to hard. Alright, yeah, maybe this is a little easy.
All the Vorts are running away from us because they know what's good for them.
But some enemies were lucky enough to receive a buff. Soldiers and Zengrunts in particular are brutal in Sven. The former spams frag grenades and SMG alt fires like it's the 4th of July, and Zengrunts can throw snark nests at you into the field, releasing a handful of the fuckers to harass the player, or get their own hands dirty and charge directly at you while hammering you with melee attacks. And I get it. I'm not gonna dock hypothetical points from the game just because these enemies are adjusted to work with a massive 4+ player cooperative game. But whoever ported the Hoaxer port to Sven co-op didn't change the enemy spawns at all. So in some situations, the game is going to be easier or significantly harder than it was in the original PS2 version, or even the Hoaxer port. One could argue that if I was going to even play through Sven in the first place, that I should have brought more than 2 players, and in hindsight, maybe I should have. But I don't really care. I played through the whole game myself in the Hoaxer port, and then later went back and played it again solo in the PS2 port. Yeah, I didn't know that I could even do this when I recorded these first 5 playthroughs of the game, and is actually one of the reasons why I had to delay this video several times. The, at the time, last-minute decision to play the original PS2 release on my own led to a lot of discoveries that I wanted to share in this video, and I mean, this is Half-Life. I love this series to death, and I want to include as much information as I can. Playing the game solo through either of these methods both aren't ideal. You're basically playing through the entire game twice for a single run because the character that you're not controlling doesn't have any pathfinding. So once you get one of the players to where they need to go, you tap the select key on the PS2 controller to swap over to the other character, and then guide them through the map, which likely has no more enemies left in it because your other player killed all of them. Just about every level in Decay follows this formula, but not all of them. There are a couple of them where you're only required to have one player finish, but your AI companion companion can only defend itself with weapons that it decides that it wants to use, effectively acting as a random stationary turret that protects the player. Sometimes this means that you'll hear them blast away a headcrab with a double-barrel shotgun blast, and other times they'll just pull out their crowbar because I don't know. Most of the time, this is harmless, if not comical. But as soon as you get the rocket launcher at the end of the game, I hope you're ready for your companion to just waste all of its ammo. By the way, if you have any interest in playing Half-Life Decay solo, go follow Half-Life Decay Solo Mission. It's a whole mod dedicated to rebuilding the whole Half-Life Decay campaign to be fit for a single player. It seems like a really promising project. I've been following it for a while, and you should too. Still, I think I prefer this over Sven Co-op's updated weapons. And before anyone tries to tell me that I could just type in MP_classic mode 1 in the console, I tried that and I was only able to get it to work when playing base Half-Life 1. Maybe there's some parameters that are set in this modded port of Decay, I'm not sure. That's not to say that I hated these weapons, it actually made for a lot of good fun playing these co-op, and I'll make sure to keep an icon at the top left of your screen so you know who I'm playing with when you're looking at that cooperative footage. You won't need to worry about whose perspective you're seeing. I didn't ask any of my friends to record their screens because I thought I would have enough perspectives on my own, except for Civvie. He offered to, and I didn't say no, so specifically with my recordings with Civvie, whoever's logo you see at the top left of the screen that's in front of the others is whose footage you're looking at. I can see myself through your eyes!
Dr. Cross and Dr. Green, you are required in the anomalous material operations center.
I want to make sure that we're on the same page here when I drop the most revolutionary truth bomb on you in the entire series. Half-Life Decay doesn't start with a tram sequence. Crazy, I know. Given that they had to lock Gordon's position in the tram in the single-player campaign, this was definitely due to system limitations. If they couldn't have a single player run around this train rendering things off-screen, then rendering it twice per player probably would have turned the console into a nuclear bomb. Obviously, this is the reason why nobody talks about the game today. Before anyone takes that point seriously, Half-Life Alyx doesn't start with a train either, and I think that game was fantastic. I didn't cry at all at the ending. No sir, not me. Our protagonists, Dr. Gina Cross and Dr. Colette Green, begin the game already suited up in their HEVs, which are thought to be the same ones that belong to the two empty charging bays that Gordon's HEV suit was in between. And I'm pretty sure that this is all but confirmed at this point, at least when it comes to the Gearbox universe.
So I guess today is the big day, huh? The big guy was pretty excited when he came in earlier. He was talking about the new guy, Dr. Freeman. I just hope everything goes well today.
Hey, no one tell him. It'll be a surprise.
I love his pre-G-Man is a dimension-hopping alien dialogue.
Oh, I'll get the door for you. They should be able to get you back into the security database in the next room.
Why do I need to be back in the database? Oh, right, the system crashed. Get in the box.
I'll start the procedure. Take cover! Not to worry. I can re-register you at this station. Step into the booth one at a time, and I'll start the procedure. Please be still during the procedure. Don't worry, Dr. Cross. It should only take a few moments.
Not to worry, my friend. I, Dr. Gina Cross, am respectful of your strange yellow biometric scanner. Might want to put some padding up for Dr. Green, though. Is this all insured? Just making sure.
Oh, no! Get me out! Get me out!
I'm moving around during the scan. Fuck the police.
I take it back. Wiggling around on the scanner doesn't make it take any longer, so I don't care. This isn't the scanner from Doom 3.
Dude, look at this cool transformer.
Bro, fuck
Yeah,
That's not a
look at him.
transformer. That's a white man.
Wait. Oh, you are slanted.
Ah, hello, doctors. It's nice to see someone is on time today. Dr. Freeman is running late. Again. Honestly, I do not understand what Kleiner sees in that boy.
Mr. Armstrong, please, you don't understand. He's really good at pushing things into holes. This is Dr. Keller, and if you recognize his voice, it probably means you're a fucking weeb!
I can use this console to transmit directly to your suit's audio system.
And bringing with it terror and destruction as it moves to satisfy its never-ending hunger for one thing, Dragon Ball.
Almost everything important about this guy is shown to us in the first few minutes that we meet him. He's a by-the-books bureaucrat who cares more about following the chain of command than he does the safety and human cost of it all. Making a perfect counter for Dr. Rosenberg returning from Blue Shift and planting the seeds for a bit of conflict between these two heads of Black Mesa, at least before the writing team remembered, oh right, Dr. Rosenberg does this thing at the end of Blue Shift, better write him out of the story and not take that plot point anywhere. But it does at least show that Rosenberg has a reasonable head on his shoulders.
Was quite
The administrator is a bureaucrat, not a scientist. I did not design this equipment to be run at such high intensity.
This is not your decision. Now, if you wish to stay and monitor the experiment, so be it. Otherwise, you can go back to your little labs over by the train yard.
It made perfect sense to me that this man was one of the few people able to escape Black Mesa by the end. Spoilers for Blue Shift. What are you doing here if you haven't played Blue Shift? Having these two NPCs guide the player around through the game is a breath of fresh air after playing opposing force in Blue Shift, but I'm not gonna say that Dr. Keller is too deep of a character. For most of the game, he just acts as our guy in the chair, operating behind the seat. Hold on, that's not what I meant. I meant that he's like our Otacon, giving us information from back at base. Oh god, okay, I can't come back from this. Don't leave just yet. Here's something interesting about him. His model name in the game is listed as Kleiner, intending that pretty early in development, this guy was supposed to be Gordon's mentor from MIT. Because Bryce Armstrong, the actor, did have a decent resume at the time working on Dragon Ball, I'm assuming that they couldn't afford to bring him back in to re-record lines, so it's safe to assume that this change into an original character was done relatively early in the game's development. It's also possible that this change was made because Valve was working on Half-Life 2 at the time and requested that they change his name because they were planning on debuting Kleiner in their game. But that's just speculation on my part. Dr. Cross is sent into a lower level to prepare sample GG3883, while Dr. Green is assigned to... where are we? Are we above or below the test chamber? Split up same way, or do we just mix it up?
Mix it up.
Alright, don't break anything.
Don't die.
Hey, how about that? I'm doing exactly what Barney saw me do in the monitor back in Blue Shift. Look at me, Ma, I'm on TV! You know how in the Gold Source games, how if you grab a box or something and then start walking, you just freaking launch that thing? Gearbox made sure to take this into account when having the player shove the sample into the lift, setting the trigger inside the lift that looks for the cart deep inside of it. That's pretty cool, right? It really showed that they knew the technology that they were working with. But in base Half-Life, you were never required to launch something like this. And I mentioned this because this feature isn't even present in Sven Co-op. If you grab a crate and move it around, it moves more like something, say, in Half-Life 2, which led to one of the most consistent quirks between all 4 of my co-op playthroughs. Oh! You did it! Whatever you did.
Yes!
What the What the fuck was that? I made it my life's mission to make sure that this happened to everybody I played with. I want you to push it. It's not in yet.
Well, god damn it.
There you go. Almost there.
I got it.
That's all I wanted.
You tricked me.
I don't know why it does this. Well, okay. There you go. The man who saved us all and or doomed us all.
Take cover!
What? Hold on. Let me try.
Take cover!
Why is your name Balls?
Oh, right. Oops.
Push
Right.
the... Oh my god.
Yep.
No, theoretically, this is impossible.
Theoretically, shit's broke.
Something must be jammed. See if there's anything interfering with the lift machinery in the test chamber below. I'll continue trying to operate the lift from here.
God, why do I have to do everything myself? Who lost their crowbar in the femur breaker?
I mean, it is supposed to go up and down phallically, but that's all technology, really.
We'll take it from here.
All in a day's work, my fellow colleagues.
I've just been informed that the sample is ready, Gordon. It should be coming up to you any moment now.
I did that.
It's not shutting down. It's not.
I also did that. Doing trick shots.
360.
This is what actually caused the resonance cascade.
Just two dipshits throwing crowbars everywhere.
Yo, Breen, you gotta check this shit out.
Yo, Brain, you want to do a 360 crowbar? No bar.
360 no bar. Goodbye.
I don't understand. The dampening field...
In my defense, I only turned it up to 80% like I'm supposed to. Good luck taking me to court, dumbass. All right, now that I'm done deflecting the blame off of myself, guys, we don't have time to argue about who was to blame. We need to do what every Gold Source Half-Life game is all about and get out of this concrete casket of a missile base.
We can have soldiers here in 2 hours who can...
I don't think that's a good idea, Mr. St. John. From here on out, it's just another Half-Life game where you know exactly what to expect. You know that you'll be grabbing the same weapons at a slightly slower pace as you're introduced to the same enemy types for the next couple of hours until those gray credits roll over a pitch black background. It's kind of similar to Blue Shift in that regard, in that it's pretty average. But as a Half-Life fan, though, the story and premise feels almost like an official love letter to the fans, expanding on its universe in a way that ties up a couple of loose ends from the original story. Though that's not to say that it doesn't create a couple plot holes of its own. Yeah, I know how that feels.
Despite what Dr. Keller believes, our only concern now should be for the people trapped inside Black Mesa.
Ooh, conflicting philosophies.
Once they know what's going on, I'm confident they'll immediately send the military in to rescue us. There's an elevator nearby that will take us up to where we need to go. Follow me.
You know, when I mentioned on Twitter that I was gonna play through the Hoaxer port primarily for this video, I was told by a couple of folks to play through the PS2 original because the level designs were apparently not faithful. That's almost solely why I decided to play through it here. And yeah, those folks aren't technically wrong. The beginning of Chapter 2 has some boxes that drop batteries and ammo in the PC mod that aren't here in the original, but that's all I've got for Chapter 2 anyway. And now it's up to me to beat Gordon's record. He's had it good for too long. I could use a refresher on this one. That's coherent. You're
I
smart.
fixed it. Well.
Is this where the HEV Mark Vs were tested? I ask because why are there turrets down here? Now that I think about it, why are there even turrets in a civilian facility like Black Mesa to begin with? I mean, who's even gonna break into... Oh, right.
I'm kind of surprised that there wasn't more toxic waste in the original Hazard course.
We're good. We're not good! We're not good!
Hold on. Come back. Okay, they're off now. Go. Go. Run. Fast.
Oh my god!
Oh, I got it.
Ah!
You turned them off. Whatever you did.
We don't need electricity anymore, do we? What was that? What did you give?
You can talk?
Over here. Be careful. As long as those sentry guns are active, it's suicide to go out there. But it is the only way to the surface. You're going to have to destroy them.
What the fuck is happening? Have you ever wondered where this tunnel leads at the end of the Hazard course? It leads to right here. Damn, ain't that cool? It looks just like every other outdoor segment in this sub-series. Where'd it go? Okay. Why do you throw it so softly, and why do I throw it so hard?
I don't know. Because G-Man's got the forearm strike.
Apparently. Someone at Black Mesa actually followed proper protocol and locked the front door to this satellite uplink. And wouldn't you know it, Dr. Rosenberg doesn't have a key, so we're sent the long way around the facility to get this door open for the guy.
I'll wait here. The way is too dangerous for me, but you'll be protected by the hazard suits.
Alright, maybe he's not as smart as he looks if he thinks that we can just leave him here without protection outdoors. You might think that one of the players would need to stay behind here and protect Mr. St. John, but no, both of us are needed downstairs because we've got a different cooperative puzzle to do.
Alright, I think I understand this puzzle. I do not understand this puzzle. And I have to call that one back.
And then... Whoop. Okay, that does something. Send it back. This one might send a small one. There we go. All right, it's perfectly Civvie-sized.
There will be no ill effects from being this close to toxic waste.
Not at all. If Fallout has taught me anything, it's I'm wearing boots.
I saw that on Twitter that you would play Fallout 1. I'm so sorry.
Ah, you made it. The control room is just up the stairs. Quick, come with me.
My man should really upgrade from tank controls. We're not done here just yet, though. On the way to the building, we stopped by a valve connected to a relay tower. This thing didn't work if we tried to use it before, but now that we've gotten Dr. Rosenberg up to the satellite uplink, one of us has to go down and spin the thing so that we could actually send this message out. With a bit of foresight, one of the players could probably book it right back to this room after the toxic sludge room and skip a whole wave of Vortigons that spawn outside. You know what? I don't think Dr. Rosenberg is an idiot. I think he was able to hold off all those Vortigons from spawning from sheer willpower alone. That, my friends, is the power of a threat of a cease and desist.
Take cover!
What am I doing?
Keep going.
Oh, I kept thinking turning it right was the right way, so I kept going, why is it not going any further? Weird.
Dr. Keller, do you read me? We've established the uplink and are transmitting the emergency signal.
I've doomed us all.
I'm sorry, did he just say contact the military? Is the whole military thing our fault? Are you fucking kidding?
Oh shit, sorry, I'm in the way. Go ahead. I swear to God if I just broke him.
He's fine. Get... Oh, he's not even solid anymore. That's not good.
Oh my God.
At the dampening fields, you'll have to reset the dampening locks manually.
Who brought us back here? Resonance may be the chapter where we close the Zen plumbing to stop the Zen toilet from overflowing and spawning more monsters, but I remember it because we learned about the HEV microphone and speaker function that I mentioned in the last video.
His microphone is like a great texture.
Oh my God, it
that's
is.
Perfect. It's great. Nice job, Randy.
Nice of them to flag different weapons to only be picked up by a specific player so that everyone gets their own drop. I actually didn't know this in my first couple of playthroughs and thought that there was only one revolver in this room and that only one of the Super Decay sisters could pick it up. I was fine with that in the moment, I just thought it was a weird quirk. The Hoaxer port makes a pretty interesting change here, deciding to give the revolver a zoom alt fire, which is, you know, an interesting choice to say the least. I really thought that this was just a thing in the PS2 version and that it was being faithful, but no, this is an exclusive change for the mod. I really don't mind this, I think it's perfectly harmless, and I have a theory as to why they made this change. This campaign is missing a lot of Half-Life's weapons, including the crossbow. Because the revolver is essentially a handheld sniper on its own in these games, I assume that the modding team wanted to turn it into exactly that. Not an alternative to the crossbow, but an amalgamation of both of them. I was a bit disappointed that this wasn't the case in the PS2 version, but only because that meant that there would be another uncanny similarity between the PS2 version of Half-Life and Black Mesa. I know that Black Mesa was first shown to the public back in 2007, but I'm not sure how early in production they showed the public that the revolver in that game would have iron sights, so this could have totally been inspired by Black Mesa. I'm not sure though. Oh God, where are you?
I'm on the other side, twisting the knob.
Okay, no, we need to be there for each other.
What? Nah, I'm just twisting the knob.
Oh fuck, I'm dead.
Whoa!
I know I'm not gonna like this.
Good luck on whatever's over there.
The displacement energy is increasing.
Oh God!
You must reset the lock quickly.
Oh, I fucking knew it!
Did you get all the way?
Yeah, it's not spinning anymore. Okay.
Oh,
you should open it again because it closed right on my face. It was very rude.
it was funny though.
If it was funny, Trav, how come I'm not
Haha,
laughing?
go fuck yourself.
I did it. The displacement fields have shut down. Damn it, this is the second time they failed us. I'm going to see if I can access the transit system and bring a working tram to us. I'm afraid whatever held the rift open did so with intent, my friends. These aliens may not all be here by accident.
Mission succeeded, but also failed.
I mean, that's a great way to sum up this series. So Keller's plan to close the Zen plumbing predictably fails. I mean, this is a Half-Life game. We're not allowed to have happy endings. So for plan B, we're sent down into Black Mesa's dormitories to find a security guard. Literally any security guard, because every single one of them, for some reason, has the all-clear codes to launch the delivery rocket that we launched back in Honor Rail. If you ever wanted to know what that thing's purpose was, well, I guess Half-Life Decay finally has the answer for you. Its payload will help with something Keller is calling a resonance reversal, whatever that means. I imagine it's similar to sound waves of opposite frequencies colliding with each other to cancel out the noise. If that's the case, I think we're sending noise-canceling headphones into the stratosphere to save the planet. Now, were these ones sponsored by Raycon? Because that would explain where Black Mesa got their budget from. With a premise like this, I'd expect the chapter's title to be a badass term from rocket science. Something fitting to the Half-Life brand. Dude's got a dent in his head.
He does. Like, I commented on it earlier, but I feel kind of bad. I mean, is that...
Oh, see, I thought you were talking about his square jawline.
No, it's a dent in
That
his
is...
domestic violence?
Oh my God! You can't just say that right after I comment on his head dent. Come on. They knew you'd be looking for a Barney in this level, so I hope that you're ready to see these guys get brutally murdered in front of you like it's an episode of Low Poly Happy Tree Friends.
Dude, who's getting the best head?
I really thought that these faces were the result of the Hoaxer mod, so imagine my surprise when I see Barney's hitting that post-nut clarity on my fucking PS2. Though, while we're on the subject of changes made to the PC version...
Is that there?
Sequence complete?
It didn't say sequence complete to me, it said 2 more to go. What? What?
I threw a grenade into a vent and I got that pop-up.
I'm seeing a pop-up for PlayStation controls.
What? What? Yeah, I didn't know the significance of this when I played through this game with really everyone you've seen in this video. If you're familiar with Decay, you probably know about the Vortigaunt bonus mission at the end of this. What Civvie discovered here is part of a larger, borderline Easter egg-like secret hunt that the modding team incorporated into the game as a substitute for unlocking this bonus mission early. No, you don't plug in a PlayStation controller to input these codes. We actually find a secret that reveals a giant PlayStation controller in the wall. All of this is original to the Hoaxer port. I've seen some people think that this was just how it was in the original game. It's not, and everything that follows with this secret is original here. But it's still really cool, and I'll talk about it once we get to that Zen bonus mission. Hey, do you remember when Barney found that chum toad in his locker and he needed to shoot that box like 1,000,000 times to get it open? The bastards did it again with this one, and somehow a lot less people are talking about it. I wonder why. This Barney had snacks in him. This didn't make it into the Hoax report for some reason. I'm confident that if they were able to find the code that lets you play Half-Life Uplink on this copy, then they probably found this and just didn't port it for whatever reason.
Halfway through level 3, lots of civilian resistance. Target has not been acquired.
You know, it totally slipped my mind that John St. John also voices some of the Marines in these Gearbox Half-Life games. If I didn't know any better, I'd say that Dr. Rosenberg is in cahoots with these guys, which makes sense! Why else would he would have called the military? I almost called them the police. I mean, same thing, kinda. Hey, John St. John 2, I'm such a fan. Want to see my bug collection?
Dude, look at these peas!
Dude, yeah, the peas texture is concave.
Please give me a full plate of peas.
Peas.
Thank you.
Oh no, the soldiers found the Gordon's room. Oh, thank God they didn't touch the tissues. Man, this entire library is crawling with soldiers, and yet the one surviving Barney that we need to find in this level is just across the hallway? These guys aren't very thorough.
Yeah, I've got the clearance codes to the security station. Let's go.
Is this guy reading my mind? Is that why he wears that shiny helmet? I should have known the Barneys were using Cerebro this whole time. That's how they knew where we were.
We have to find the secret bookcase.
But I'm not leaving until... Hey, you think there's a future for us at the end of all this?
Hey, Barney, not right now. Let's get your ass out of here and then you can hit on me, okay? Thanks, babe.
This door is locked.
Gee, I couldn't tell. It's okay, man. I can figure this out on my own. It's real easy. First, you just blue screen this computer and... How did he do that?
I presume you've got the all-clear codes for the satellite delivery rocket?
Sure do. You got a plan?
Yes. Once the satellite is in orbit, we can orchestrate a resonance reversal that may seal the rift between Earth and the alien world.
Wow, Professor X makes it sound so easy. Oh my God, this Cerebro joke earlier was not meant to play into that. That's a total coincidence.
What are you two doing here? Soldiers everywhere.
Please tell me that wasn't the Barney that I just spent the whole last level trying to rescue. I mean, it would be totally on brand if it was. Half-Life isn't above killing my friends in front of me, but it means a lot less when it's a Gearbox doing it. Don't mind me, I'm just admiring this Osprey from a distance, which, you know, I never have to worry about again because we're not gonna fight this thing, I swear. I'm not sure if these are oversights or a deliberate change by the modding team, but if we disregard the Easter egg in Chapter 5, then Code Green is the most drastically altered chapter when we compare the game to the PC mod. In the original, you can't break or even jump over this table until the Barney on the other side is killed. But on the PC mod, and especially in Sven, we're able to jump over it and even save the guy. But that's not even the most perplexing change made to this chapter, though this is exclusive to Sven co-op. So both players need to go into this elevator shaft so that they can make their way through the vents, watch another Barney die right in front of them, and then break these boxes so that they could get this door open. But the way back into the vents to to get out of the elevator shaft is too low for both players to just jump up into, so one of them needs to act as a footstool so that the other player can make their way around, open the door, and then open the elevator doors so that both players can reconvene. The players aren't separated from each other for too long. It's a pretty standard co-op puzzle. But the first time I played this was on Sven co-op, and I'm not sure if it was a change made to the map geometry or if I can just simply jump higher, but you can jump right from this little ledge here up into the vent, basically nullifying that whole part of the co-op puzzle. This is fine. I don't have a problem with this at all, but just imagine my confusion where this solution of just jumping up into the vents is how I thought you were supposed to do this, and then going back and playing the hoaxer port and just being stuck for the longest time because I had no idea I needed both players in there to get one of them out. In retrospect, I should have totally understood what to do. That little divot in the wall there basically just screams to have a player get on their knees and get stepped on. But like everyone who's wanted to step on me could tell you, I've always been pretty oblivious. Anyways, if you ever wanted to see how brutal the soldiers can be in Sven co-op, Code Green is probably the best example you're gonna get.
Oh, these guys are really leaning into the grenades right now.
Oh, I have a satchel. Oh my god! Think he shot a fucking SMG alt fire at me? Oh!
Yep.
Where's your corpse? Oh,
that
shit.
is exactly what happened.
Your corpse has to be somewhere. Is this the
I'm
giblet?
sure it's in many places.
Shit. Wait, hold on. There was a checkpoint. Never mind. Okay, I know that none of you saw this coming, but I lied to you. This osprey is actually required to be killed because a grunt will not show up to open the doors to let us leave this area until we take it down, which does feel a little bit sloppy, but I think that's because this boss fight wasn't even intended for this stage for a good chunk of development. In fact, this level was basically a last-minute addition to the game because of last-minute story changes. Playing this fight in Sven gave me a bit of insight to what's going on here. If you shoot the rotors on the osprey, it actually dies faster. It's like it's a kind of weak point or something.
Jesus!
I got the helicopter.
Holy shit!
I used nothing but gun. It was actually very weak.
And when that don't work, use more.
Use more gun. Cost $200,000. Okay, so we were given the codes for the satellite override off screen, in between levels. But the only way to put them into the computer is if we're currently in lockdown. I'm assuming that they don't mean that the facility is under attack style lockdown, and more that it's like a airlock sort of deal, that security needs to be present for these codes to be input. But this is translated into the game by one of the players needing to activate lockdown on this computer outside of the room while the other player is inside the room, keeping them separate so that the guy that's inside the room can activate the computer. You know in movies when you see those guys use 2 keys to activate like the nuclear launch codes? I assume it's like that, which is really fitting considering where this facility ends up.
It looks like the signal is coming online. Stand by. I'm getting the all-clear signal. You've done it.
Okay, can we get this on a rail, please? Thank you.
What the fuck that was? That was... Oh, good. Right into a sewer.
Do you think he sees that too? This stage has a small series of secrets that I think really take advantage of the level-to-level structure that this game has. There's 3 sets of explosive barrels scattered around the map that can be pushed to a nearby hole in the wall that can be blown open for loot. Oh wait, did I say 3? I meant to say 2. The last barrel doesn't open anything. I think it's just here to kill this soldier. Why can't I move this?
Dumb bitch. They thought they could have gotten me. Just climb through the steam. What the fuck?
I set it to green.
I turned it from green to red. Oh, there's this lever here. I didn't see this.
Wait, what did you do?
I didn't do anything. I flipped this.
What?
I flipped that to red, and then I didn't realize there's a wheel right here.
Why can't... Did I mention that we came down here to get a nuclear butt plug to plug the Zen rift? Or not.
We'll need to work quickly as we're running out of time.
I'm sorry, sir, the plug is stuck and I can't afford another trip to the ER. For Black Mesa standards, that's surprisingly safe. Guess I'm gonna have to pump this thing up there myself. This game was so ahead of its time.
My equipment tells me that the displacement beacon is up and in working order. Good job. come upstairs to Gamma Labs. We haven't much time.
Oh, I know the Gamma Labs. That's where the Hulk got his powers.
Up those stairs, you can access the alien quarantine labs. I fear that the scientists working there may have been overcome by the very creatures they were studying.
Remember when this guy sounded like he was having an epiphany when he asked the aliens might not be here by accident? How could he say that and still know about the alien quarantine labs? It is literally in the name.
We need you to get inside those labs and activate a beam matrix which powers the displacement beacon. You won't find much help in activating the system, but I'm sure with your training it will be a simple matter.
Did he just say beam matrix? Because I'm starving. If you've got enough Half-Life under your belt, then you should know exactly what to expect from the quarantine labs. It's a sort of diet questionable ethics. Story beats that really hammer home the are we the true monsters sort of feeling, with a bunch of explicit experiments and all that kind of stuff that really make us feel empathetic for the beings sent from Zen. And Decay does offer us a new perspective of these, or at least some new goodies to entertain the lore fanatics. Like this implication that it's the shackles on the Vortigons that give them their own power, or at least it's a conduit for their power. I guess someone at Gearbox forgot the memo that the alien slave enemies are, you know, slaves. To their credit though, we never see a Vortigon use their powers without one of these until Half-Life 2. I don't even think they're called Vortigons until Half-Life 2. But man, I feel so bad for this bull squid here. It's still alive and probably conscious while getting its stomach pumped for bile. We already knew Black Mesa was fucked up, but getting a scripted sequence where we hear the animal like squeal in pain, it hits a little different, you know? All right, I need something to cleanse my palate here, something to move on from animal cruelty. Do you like color matching puzzles? It's okay, don't panic, we're just mixing primary colors. If you want to get technical, they're only subtractive primary colors, which, you know, doesn't make sense scientifically, but that's what we gotta do. We were all told growing up that red and blue make purple, and that yellow and blue make green, and that yellow and red make orange. One of the players needs to stay behind and mix the colors appropriately, and then the other player needs to make sure that the right color laser goes into the right color hole. To my fellow artists that are watching this, please just suspend your disbelief for just a moment and ignore that by combining blue and yellow light you technically make white. Yellow and blue only make green when we're working with subtractive primary colors, but I know that most of us weren't taught this in school. This is totally useless information, but if you want to be an artist and you didn't know, I hope you found that helpful. Alright, you want to see some crazy shit? I'm gonna be totally honest when I say I had to look up a guide to figure this one out. If every other game in the Half-Life 1 quadrilogy has taught me anything, it's that the player needs to lead an NPC to interact with these terminals because we can't use them unless they're broken. Do you remember that list of clearances in the manual that we took a look at in the last video? I thought maybe that this was a hint that maybe Dr. Cross or Gina Cross or Colette Green could actually interact with these. That's not the case. And believe it or not, the part of the game that was supposed to tell you that you could interact with these was cut from the game, but they left this part in. If we go back and look at some really early footage of Half-Life Decay, you can see the scanners from the beginning of the game that each of the individual players needs to go into for Dr. Cross and Dr. Green, and there's a retinal scanner on the wall that the players are supposed to interact with. This was a deliberate deviation from the Half-Life chain of command to tell the player that, hey, you can interact with these in this campaign. The level was reworked and retooled, as all levels in video games are, and I guess someone thought, hey, yeah, we don't need this here, and took it out of the level without realizing that this was supposed to teach the player how to interact with one of these at the near end of the game. That is fucking hilarious. So we got the beam matrix up. I just said beam matrix again. Okay, first time I said it was on purpose, but that time I just got beans on the mind, I guess. We finally got the beam matrix up and running, and now we're ready to close that Zen rift with all that equipment and resources that we've amassed throughout the campaign. Not equipment for us though, aside from like the 2 weapons we've picked up along the way. Please ignore that the graphics actually look kind of presentable right now. I was playing Metal Gear Solid 2 and forgot to turn the downscaling back on, or upscaling back off. You know what I mean. Yo, that's the thing that GLaDOS puts you on at the end of the test chamber before you go and fire.
That's the Twitch chat ride.
So we've got our stage set for our final boss fight here, now that we've got to activate our nuclear butt plug to close the rift. First, we need to flip these 3 switches one at a time to bring out these giant Zen crystals that charge the beacon. As soon as each crystal is powered up, we gotta start the next one, lather, rinse, repeat for like 5 minutes while you fight nothing but Vortigons. That's not an exaggeration, there's nothing but Vortigons until the boss shows up, except right before this mission, they gave us a larger arsenal, including a rocket launcher, and the AI doesn't have a concept of, you know, saving the really powerful weapons for later for when we need them. Have you ever seen that video of those bakers watching their bread get turned into a bread bowl right in front of them? That's how I felt watching my AI companion use up all of that RPG ammo right in front of me.
Wait a minute, the large thing was a fucking manta that drops other enemies?
A single Zen grunt.
It's amazing. This is great.
There's something big coming! Yeah, that brand new boss fight that I was telling you about is actually just a repurposed alien craft from the base game. Sorry, I know that's really anticlimactic of me to bring up, but I mean, that parallels how I felt seeing this thing for the first time. Looking at this thing's name in Spend Co-op, it actually shows up as Boyd, which I'm pretty sure is an oversight, and this is me pointing out a nitpick that I doubt anyone would even care to notice if they knew, but I'm gonna bring it up anyway. In Half-Life 1, the Boyds were these group of Zen birds that would fly around in the background. The only significance here is that Boyd, B-O-I-D, is the name of an AI program written in 1986 trying to capture the complexity of a group of objects flying together and trying to stay in formation. I bring this up because this alien ship that we're fighting at the end of Half-Life Decay is not a Boyd, so either someone at Gearbox just wasn't in on the joke, which I have no doubt is the case, or this was an oversight when bringing these maps to Spend Co-op. And that whole thing is probably more interesting than this entire boss fight because holy shit, this boss fight fucking sucks. If you're playing this on PC, then you're probably gonna take this thing down before it could finish a single lap around the place because I don't know, its damage numbers are lower. Maybe it's because I have better aim, but I literally have lock-on on PS2, so I don't think that's the case. But in the original hardware, this thing is tanky as hell, which is especially a problem once you find out how this final encounter works. You might think that this is a protect the objective sort of mission. Make sure that the thing doesn't die from all the enemies shooting at it, but that's not what's happening here. The only thing that could damage the beacon is the giant ship that's flying around the map. Every time it completes a lap, it'll zap the beacon once, and if you let it do that 5 times, then that's a game over. But unless you fail this encounter multiple times, you're probably not even gonna find this out, which is exactly how I figured this out, with a little bit of accidental cheating from Spend Co-op, because I could just look at it and see how much health it has, and then notice, hey look, it drops by 100 power every time the Boyd zaps it. What I'm trying to say is that I died to this thing a lot when I played it on the PS2. Shut the hell up, Dr. Keller. Also, are you kidding me? Oh, she's enjoying this way too much. Get ready to flip that switch. Woo. You did it.
Good job, Gordon. Flipping that switch and all.
It's not bad enough that the boss fight sucks, it's that you also have to wait 5 minutes through Vortigons to even fight it again if you die. Whatever, we killed it, and now we've got all the crystals up to 100%. Dr. Keller, it's time for you to hit that resonance reversal. I want to go home.
You must hurry. We can't keep the portal open much longer.
Wait, what the fuck is Calhoun doing here? Why did he just get impaled with a light beam? Was that us? Are we passing through him? Or more realistically, is that why he was stuck in some kind of harmonic flux at the end of Blue Shift? I guess that's kind of neat. Okay, for this moment I'm about to bring up, I'm actually really embarrassed at how much I like it, but after we're bumped back to Earth and see everything explode, the game does this cut to black right as the Zen crystals shatter, and there's just something about the timing of it and how it cuts off the audio that feels weirdly artsy, and I can't put my finger on it, but there's just something about the cut that I really love, and I hate how hard I'm thinking about something that was probably not even intentional.
Gina? Colette? You'll be all right. You were caught for a moment in a harmonic reflux. It's one of the swirling eddies in the space between two displacement event currents. Although I can't imagine who is creating the other current.
Keller is so goddamn inept, he didn't even realize that Rosenberg is doing all this shit right under his nose. Yeah, lots of good, all that sitting at the computer, did ya? Oh god, I sound like my mom. Amazing, then blue
I
ships.
need to inform you that my screen right now says, Ball's invincible.
Although I can't imagine who is creating the other current. But it doesn't matter now. Rest, my friends. We did it.
Yep, so that was Half-Life Decay, ending in a way that kind of explains why Adrian Shepard was exclusively fighting Race X beings after Gordon had already left for Zen. And you know what? Good for them. They actually tried and managed to succeed to close the portal here. Sure is nice of them to conveniently not talk about the place getting nuked right after. If I had to grade the game in some capacity, I'd say it's at least on par with Blue Shift, but when it comes to multiplayer and single-player games, both are approached with different game design philosophies that make it a bit hard for me to be critical here. My specialty is with single-player experiences, and a lot of my criticisms are less creative criticism and more so personal preference. But as a Half-Life fan, I really do think that it's worth your time just regarding what it adds to the canon and overall franchise, which I think today in the current year of 2023 is really the only reason that you should revisit that game today, unless you have some personal nostalgic connection to it. That said, we're not done quite yet. As you might recall me saying in this video, there's actually a 10th mission within Decay that is a little tricky to unlock. Both players need to A-rank each mission of the game. It doesn't matter if only one character has A-ranked it, they both need to. I remember reading somewhere that both players can get like 15 kills and that basically guarantees an A rank. Don't quote me on that though, because that's not how I unlocked it. By going into the input cheat code menu and then dividing up the Konami code between both controllers, you can unlock every mission in Decay to be played from the get-go, including this secret 10th mission. And when I say that you divide the Konami code between both players, you end up having player 1 press up twice and then player 2 presses down twice. You get the idea. This is where that elaborate secret is that I mentioned before that was added into the hoax report. By finding 3 sets of PlayStation button combinations hidden across the map and inputting them into that giant wall controller, a pair of displacement cannons from opposing force spawn on Gordon's bed, where using its alt-fire teleports you to an entirely unique segment where you follow a scripted zombie on its way through Black Mesa. If you kill the zombie, you completely break the sequence, so you gotta keep that in mind. But if you did everything correctly and follow this zombie as far as he can go, then the G-Man will walk by a glass door with another button combination trailing behind him, and entering that into the controller on the wall will unlock that final Vortigaunt mission without having to A-rank every stage. Now, if you're wondering why you can't just load into a map via console, Hoaxer thought of that, requiring you to finish the previous stages or else you're booted from the map about 5 seconds after loading into it, though you can get around this if you really wanted to by renaming the map files. Zen attacks, like Decay itself, is only just okay once you get past the novelty of it. Yeah, it's pretty cool that you get to play as a Vortigaunt, and they even come with their unique style of gameplay with a ranged attack and long-ranged attack that can vampire health from enemies regardless of which one you use to kill them with. This can turn the player into a melee fiend, letting you run right up to these soldiers and slap them in the nuts for a good HP refill. It has the potential to be a lot more fun, but the mission itself is kinda underwhelming. These 2 Vorts that we control actually have names, X-8973 and R-4913. The Half-Life and Portal Encyclopedia wiki mentions that light blue vent texture that you know from Office Complex, the same one that has the text Valve written on it, also has R-4913's name on it. But when I looked at the texture both in the original and PS2 releases, the texture says R-8146, which still is suspiciously close, but not the same. If anyone knows more about this that I'm just missing, please let me know. Regardless, even if this information is incorrect, that's probably more interesting than everything else in this level. This stage must have been part of a rejected Geico ad because it's so easy a caveman could do it. Oh, that's kind of relevant. Remember that Portal 2 ad that Geico did? I did not write that remembering that part. I wrote the caveman comparison because we're just here to collect rocks, specifically specifically a Zen crystal to return back to the Nihilith. I mean, it's kinda neat that this also looks like the place where G-Man armed that nuke at the end of Opposing Force, but that could totally just be a coincidence. And if we just look at this as the final bonus mission as a fun way to cap off Half-Life for the PS2, yeah, that's pretty underwhelming. Which is why I'm not ending it here just yet. By using your partner as a footstool to reach this ledge that you otherwise couldn't, you can find a cheat code printed on the wall that gives you access to Alien Mode, letting you play through the entire single-player campaign as a Vortigaunt. It is almost mind-boggling how much effort went into making this little side campaign variant work. I thought it was just gonna be as simple as, hey, here's a weapon swap, play through the whole game like this, but no, there's these little details that were changed and replaced that completely transformed the experience beyond just what you use to attack. Human characters speak in complete gibberish. You can't understand a lick of what they're saying. So true, Dr. Coomer. Barnacles won't latch on to you, just instead rubbing their flaccid tongue right across your face, but can still heal the player if you attack them, turning these clusters of barnacles into almost dedicated healing stations, which is nice because, you know, you can't use the HEV suit chargers anymore. Zen forces will still target you, which is a little disappointing at first, but I mean, if you think about it, this would have turned the game into basically a speedrunning slog with no enemies. It would have been kinda boring. The simple change of giving the Vorts these sort of leeching powers by taking health from enemies as you attack them already changes the dynamic a lot, but these other subtle changes really just hammer home that this is a completely different experience, encouraging a playstyle that lets you leap out of cover to ambush enemy targets with melee to slowly recover your health back. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think that this is more fun of a single player experience than Decay was. But you can't play through all of Half-Life 1's campaign. You'll still play through all of Lambda Core and still need to protect the scientist from getting killed by the controllers as he opens up the portal to Zen, which, because I was also playing this on difficult, was really hard, and I feel like I almost exploited the game just so I could get past this sequence, leaping up to the catwalk where the scientist is so that I could easily zap any controllers that were within range of the dude to do damage to him. But trying to get off of this platform made me realize that there's some invisible walls here that I think were supposed to keep me out. As soon as you get to Zen, the moment you come out of that portal, your control is taken from you and you're greeted by 4 Vortigaunts that celebrate your arrival home. That is goddamn adorable, and I can't think of a better way to cap off our time with Half-Life for the PlayStation 2. What the fuck? Thanks for making it to the end of the video. While you're here, be sure to check out Crubcast. It's a new podcast that me and my friend Kevin Goldenbolt have put together, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. If you want to join this list of names off to the side and join the Discord, then pledge a minimum of $1 a month over to my Patreon, and if you pledge $10 or more, I'll even read your name out loud in the next video, alongside names like Luce and Josh Gourmet. Thank you everybody, and I'll see you guys next time.